It's day 28. I've been up pretty early, ran to Home Depot, got a bunch of screws. The problem that I've had is I can't find one place that has all the screws that I need, so I had to jump around from Home Depot to Diamond Pacific, and I got a hodgepodge of screws. I'm gonna have to play around with screws, find out what's right and what in different spots, because there's gonna be a few different places where I'm gonna have to use different sizes. Okay, so in the spots where I felt like this lip kind of lifted up kind of high, I just put a screw just right at the end, right there. I only did a handful of them. When it comes to cutting, this is the blade that I'm using. It's like a double hook. Yeah, I think it's I can't remember what you call it, but it's got a hook on it. Hook blade. Anyway, it's great for cutting this kind of paper. Now I don't think it's necessary, but just from my years of doing lathing and plastering, I'm marking my studs. I know once I put the metal on, all this there's no point in doing this. It's just out of habit for me. Now when it comes to lapping this, if memory serves me correctly, you need a 4-inch lap. So this line right here is 4 inches, 2 inches, 4 inches. So I'm just line it up to this, and then all I gotta do is just follow this line and I got a good lap. Okay, so I got 3 runs on, and the 4th run, check it out. Butt up to the top there, and it just comes a hair past it, so it's perfect, man. It's awesome. I don't even have to think about it. All right, so that lined up really good. Another thing I wanted to point out real quick was the paper that I'm using. It is the 30 paper, not the 15. Believe it or not, I actually read the manufacturer's installation instructions, and they say to use 30, so that's what I'm using. So the way that I'm getting my my metal panels up here, I'm just walking up that scaffold right down there. Hold the panels above my head and just walk it right up, and slip it on the roof. Now over here I've got 4 panels on, and I'm just putting 2 screws to hold it in place, just so I can keep moving along, get this on here, get the paper covered. Putting 2 down there, 2 up there, and then I'll come back and do the middle here, get the field after I get this all on. Anyway, what I'm doing here, because I've seen this from a number of, I've asked 2 gutter guys this question, and I've seen it watching videos on YouTube, but seems like the consistent thing is everybody says to make sure you got like an inch overhang. Inch to inch and a half is kind of what I hear, so I've been consistently at 1 inch. Another way I've been measuring it too, if I go 3.5 inches from the end of the gutter, that puts me in the same spot. Okay, so something else that I'm doing, I've got an inside enclosure and an outside enclosure. This is the inside enclosure. It basically, was designed to go with these panels. These are metal sails panels that I got online from Home Depot. And the first one was kind of a pain in the ass to get, but once I got the first one in, you just basically, I'm just connecting it in. It's got like a tongue and groove kind of thing here. I can't really see it. Anyway, it's got a tongue and groove fitting right here, and then I just lay it right on the edge, and it's lining up pretty well. One other thing to make a note about is you start researching this stuff online, and the installation manual says to make sure that you're lapping your panels basically away from any storms or away from the way the wind goes. So theoretically, the wind goes this way, and it will go this way over the panel, over the lap, and that's what we want. We don't want it going up this way and blowing up inside. We're being overly critical here, I think, but it is something to think about. Wherever I put a screw, I'm just using this to just make a hole in the metal, and then I'm putting my screw in, because otherwise the screw's wanting to go all over the place trying to pierce the metal. Down here on the bottom, I'm using inch long screws, and then up on the top I'm using 3/4 inch screws. And the reason I'm using 3/4 inch screws is because these guys here, I'm using 3/4 inch screws because if I go any longer than that, you're gonna see screws popping through the roof from the bottom. Now technically these screws are called stitch screws, and they're designed, if you read the installation guidelines, they're designed to go right there over the lap. I'm using these up top, and I'm going to use them in the field as well, so that I don't have a bunch of screws sticking through the roof from the bottom. The inch-long screws right here are going into the fascial board. You'll never see those screws from underneath looking up at the roof. Those will be hidden because they're completely in wood. Now the 3/4 inch screws up there, they just barely start to poke through. You don't even notice it. But if they're any longer, you're gonna start seeing them everywhere. So I kind of like to look up at the roof and not see a ton of screws looking down at me. Yeah, and these ones up here, and you can see it's like they missed the header board that I put down there. So these ones technically are in the field. If you were to look up and these were any longer, you would see these screws poking through the roof. And you definitely are going to see them once they start doing the field, if they were any longer than 3/4. Okay, so I'm on the last piece. Now, what I would be doing typically is lapping right here. But there's a little bit of extra here, so all I did was just move it over one rib, and I'm gonna lap it there, and I'm gonna have just a little bit down on that edge that I'm gonna have to cut so that I can get the trim piece on. But it's a lot less than if I were to lap it the way that I've been doing it. Okay, there's the line that I'm gonna have to cut. Made my cut with these big guys, these big laughing scissors here. That little guy was like not gonna do much for me. Anyway, that was not easy cut to make. Alright, so I got it all on. I'm still gonna have to go back and finish up my screws because there's only 4 screws holding each piece in. But anyway, down here I'm within 1 inch, no more than 1 1/4 inches all the way through. So I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock and was on the go getting screws. It is now 7:15 and I'm calling it a day. Oh my god, I am so damn tired. It was a lot of work. I was very meticulous on placement of these. Everything was right where it should have been. 1/4 inch difference max anywhere on this roof, so I think that's pretty good. I'm beat. Time to call it a day.